Still looking for chords. I went to start a stream with a. You wasn't looking for something. Oh God! Do not start that.
We were feeling high.
Sorry, random streams and there we go.
I thought I was cool. I thought I looked smooth in your eyes and tried to make a move. It was all my time, the time of our lives. You were on my mind, my ride or die. It was all my time, the time of our lives. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Don't forget your first kiss. We were so damn high, we could touch the sky. Drunk on love, drunk on your lips. The feeling I will forever miss. And I got drunk for the first time. I thought I was cool. I thought I looked smooth in your eyes and tried to make a move. It was all my time, the time of our lives. You were on my mind, my ride or die. It was all my time, the time of our lives. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were my ride or die. 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 The time of our lives. You were on my mind, my ride or die. It was all my time, the time of our lives. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were on my mind, my ride or die. Yeah. You were my ride or die. 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 Don't forget your first love. We were young and wild. We were born.
That one was a really early one. I'm still playing. I'm still trying to figure out all these programs. Like, I'm literally having to go through 4 to 5 different apps for just to get the animation going, and then another one to get it actually going like it's in motion, like putting all the photos together like it's in motion. Plus I had to go through another program like that, and it just is all so much data and time. And today I was just so exhausted. By the time Pierre did his speech, I was just like, I'm already done. I need, like, just to get like that first little clip was probably 6 hours. And it was just like, come on, pony. Okay, it's not even, I keep saying with AI art, it is like training a cow, not training a horse. A horse will listen to you. A cow will pretty much do whatever it wants when it wants, and you kind of just got to deal with it. Oh, sometimes it's like you get so close, and then it's like, what is okay? Houston, we have a problem. But like, I tried a longer clip of that first one, and that's why it took me so long, because it wouldn't load. It wouldn't load. Hour passes. Another hour passes. By the time the third hour passed for attempted uploads, I was just like pacing around my apartment, literally like just almost swearing. No, I was swearing. It was just like, come on, donkey. Like, do it. No, I wasn't doing it this morning. I was so frustrated. And I think like when you work yourself up like that, sometimes it just, because you get so close. It's like imagine you're working on building a deck, and you are so close, and then all of a sudden that like last post is like a quarter of an inch too short. So even though you can make it like blend in, it's always going to be like most people wouldn't even notice it, but you're always going to know it's there. And that's the joy of artwork. It's going to be fun. I'm glad I'm doing this, and I'm going to share the rest of my blog. I'm going to go back to that conservative speech. I think a lot of YouTubers are covering it because it is sort of just what everyone wants to hear, like just common sense, not like so hard, because there's a little incident about a little incident. Starts with an X. Happened in Singapore. Let's not get into it. I think all the adults in the room, hey, kid wants to party. And I think, in light of everything, I can't blame him, but I don't think this kid realizes the level of grooming that's going on. I feel sorry, so sorry for those kids. Like, yeah, it's just bad. Bad. And this one, I like some of this artwork. I'm really impressed with, because I didn't think it like to get something that almost looks real. And this actually looks like a place from my photos. No, there's on Dallas Road, if you're in Victoria, you can go along the waterfront, and there is a rock that literally looks like this. It's, please do not attempt it in winter. The Coast Guard does not have the resources to rescue you all the time. Saying, we'll try, but just don't be stupid. But yeah, it's like this little like rock and dirt road, little pony trail. But that's what it looks like, just from a different angle. It's like AI has taken a bunch of my old photos and melded it into something that doesn't even look like the West Coast, which is kind of amazing. I'm really impressed how it turned out today, even though it took so long. I was swearing a lot. Sometimes you have to swear at technology, otherwise it just isn't obedient. And I'm sure, like, when Terminator takes over, it's going to swear at us a lot more. Just saying. Hopefully not. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with how some of these, like, because this is totally artificial and it is entirely based off of my artwork. So that's really exciting. That's why I do it, because it's. Oh, also, I have a skirt I'm trying to fix. But that's a side note. I don't know if I'll get around to that tonight. I might open up the panel because I know it depends how long. Oh, this is interesting. This one
In
I
an
don't know what to
unprecedented
make
turn,
of.
the British media has launched a fervent and critical assault on Canadian PM Justin Trudeau, singling out his liberal policies with newfound intensity. This abrupt shift in their approach begs scrutiny. Could it stem from the royal family's recent decree, considering Trudeau's steadfast commitment to severing ties with the monarchy? The timing and ferocity of these critics indeed hold a climatic analytical significance. Hi and welcome, I'm your host Vedika. Let's begin. During this week, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau faced criticism from the British media for his progressive policies. The British media source, The Spectator, released a report that strongly criticized PM Trudeau. The report titled, Is the Game Up for Justin Trudeau? Rapidly gained attention on social media platforms. According to the article, the Canadian public has become fatigued with Trudeau's progressive policies. The report from The Spectator also conveyed optimism about conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, suggesting that he could potentially alleviate the concerns of the Canadian populace who have become disillusioned with the current political situation. This is the second instance of severe criticism directed at Trudeau. Just last week, the Telegraph expressed its strong disapproval of the Canadian PM. The previous week's analysis gained substantial attention on social media, highlighting the shortcomings of Trudeau's government. The verdict of the news piece was clear. Canadians have now lost their affection for Trudeau. The once glowing career that appeared invincible in the political realm has lost its luster. Rather than the previously hailed Trudeau mania, the nation is now grappling with Trudeau fatigue. And so, his end is coming, and it will be painful as per the British media. Approval ratings for the Liberal Prime Minister have dipped below 30% within the 18 to 34 age bracket, reports the Angus Reid Institute, a key influencer in Trudeau's 2015, 2019, and 2021 electoral victories. Interestingly, the British media has vehemently criticized
Those
the
who
Justin
eat
Trudeau government. The
their
motivation
fill
behind
speak
these
to the
abrupt
hungry.
assaults, however, remains undisclosed. However, the sudden discontent can be linked partially to Trudeau's previous choices aiming to distance Canada from the British monarchy. Notably, Justin Trudeau's administration has exhibited a clear inclination towards breaking away from the monarchy. This shift is mirrored in the recent actions of the Quebec government, exemplifying a growing trend towards increased independence. The proposed bill by Quebec Minister Nathalie Roy enables civil servants and National Assembly members to optionally pledge allegiance to King Charles. Although the bill doesn't eliminate the oath, it
We're
permits
gonna have
voluntary
to,
adherence for those
even if you
inclined to
don't
take
agree
it.
with he should be
Furthermore, the
king.
Trudeau government swapped Christian
Sucks
symbols
to
on
be
the royal
Canadian.
coat of arms for Canadian icons, snowflakes, stars, and maple leaves. A trendy transformation indeed, dubbed the Canadian crown by the Liberals, is still pending King Charles III's approval. While PM Justin Trudeau hasn't explicitly discussed leaving the monarchy, his actions strongly suggest he aims to abandon the royal legacy. The push to step away from the British monarchy is gathering momentum in light of King Charles' coronation. Countries like Australia, Belize, and Jamaica are joining the chorus to leave the monarchy behind. Canada is no exception, as substantial Liberal supporters support this move. Nevertheless, if multiple nations decide to detach themselves from the British monarchy, it might be interpreted As a form of
This is an
humiliation for the royal
interesting
family,
one. I didn't
the
really
British
watch
media
the full
has
thing.
traditionally held a supportive stance toward the royal family, readily voicing concerns
But,
and
you know, we've
criticism
already
against
kind of
those who
tossed
challenge its
Meghan and Harry
authority.
off the Vancouver
Nonetheless,
Island.
a noticeable shift has occurred
Bye-bye.
within the
Bon
monarchy,
voyage.
seemingly launching a counterattack against its critics. Amidst Trudeau's waning popularity, the British media's intensified scrutiny around him raises questions. Could Justin Trudeau have found his way onto Charles Radar?
Yeah, that was a good piece. That was a really good piece. We're going to pull up. I got some more clips in here. See, that one turned out so good. I cannot believe how good this, like, it looks so real. And it reminds me of a cross between Utah and the Middle East. But I love that photo. This was Shuswap, BC.
For more, we're joined now by longtime resident of North Shuswap, Jim Cooperman. He evacuated to Kamloops, and that's where we've reached him. And so, Jim, you were forced out last week. Can you take us through that day?
Yes, it actually began the day before when we received word that they were planning to do a backburn, a planned ignition in the hills behind us.
Yeah, because that's gone
And
so
what
well
they
in
were hoping
Canada
on
this
was
year.
to
Yeah,
burn
every
off
time
the
we do a
forest in front
controlled
of
burn,
the fire
it
that was
always
moving
seems
our
to
way
go really well.
because there was a high winds that were scheduled to happen.
Yeah.
And they waited too late in the day. They they lit the fire too far away from the forest fire.
Here you go.
And as a result, there was the backburn backfired. We were able to see it right from our house, looking out our back window. It was like a giant mushroom cloud. It was a huge fire that they created. And it already was a large fire. And then with that, it became much larger. So when the wind shifted and blew from the north, it started blowing the fire our way. And we became quite worried. But in the morning, they announced that the planned ignition went fine and things were good. And we were more relaxed. But our daughter happened to be driving through Scotch Creek and looked up and saw the flames on the hillside, immediately phoned us and said, "Get out." We looked up and we could see that the fire was creeping over the ridge right behind us.
Like, imagine if they were sleeping and their daughter didn't call them.
Pretty much ready to go, had to do some last minute
things. Like, they were all ready
and
to
so
go,
we
but
evacuated.
at the same time, like,
however, the regional district
you don't know how
did
close
not
it is
issue
sometimes.
the evacuation order in time. As a result, the people that lived to the east of us soon had no way to get out. They were trapped.
Exactly.
And as a result,
this is why people are
it's a one-way road in and out of our community, one-way paved. And they only had three choices. One was to evacuate by boat. One was to drive a long logging road to Seymour Arm, a very isolated community where there was no power. Or three, stay and
take
shelter
your chances
in place.
like Maui.
Thus, we made it to Kamloops safely. Fortunately, we have family here, so we didn't have to stay in an evacuation center on a cot like so many other people did. And it's been very stressful and now very sad for us because so many of our neighbors lost their homes. Fortunately, our home was saved because of all the hard work we did to fireproof and our property.
So I was just going to ask you about that because your house, I understand, is still standing due to the fireproofing that you did. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is important.
I'm an environmentalist, and I'm very aware of the concern of climate boiling and the risks that we are facing as we go into the future from forest fires, floods, and other other disasters, human-caused disasters. So we took the necessary steps, one of them being logging our property. So we didn't live in a forest. We lived in a partial cut. We selectively logged. but we made sure to log most of the trees close to our home. And that not only was a key factor in saving our home and many other our buildings, but it also helped save our surrounding neighborhood. Because when the fire hit, we had a ground fire instead of a forest fire.
Yeah.
We also
Here
took
you go.
steps to further fireproof our home with, it's a log home, but we did some metal siding where there weren't logs. And the day before the fire, we thoroughly watered the hillside behind us because, of course, in the front it was all lawn. And when the fire hit, the ground fire it's quite dramatic. One of our neighbors who stayed went up there twice to check on our place and took this incredible photo of our house silhouetted with flames surrounding it, not surrounding it, but all in the back of it. Mm-hmm. And those flames and that fire only made it to where we had watered.
Wow.
So our survived.
Yeah, so your house survived. That is certainly some good news. I understand that you have said that Shuswap has turned into a police state. Why do you say that?
Well, there are countless numbers. There's hundreds of people that have stayed behind to protect their properties and fight fires. And these are not just your average Joe Q person.
No.
These are loggers and contractors,
Yeah.
some with years of experience in fighting fires. And these are the true heroes on the North Shuswap. When the fire hit, all the fire personnel left. They weren't. They didn't come back for 14 hours.
Exactly.
And so it was these people that stayed behind and did the necessary work to protect us.
Who are used to it.
What has happened as a result was that they issued this evacuation order, and it's written in such a way that you are allowed to stay in your home, but they refuse to let anybody drive on the roads. They refuse to let supplies come in. So people, are running out of water, running out of food, and to enforce that, they brought in many police, like dozens and dozens of police. They brought in SWAT teams. And when people started driving through the blockades that they set up on the roads, they brought in spike belts. One of our friends was bringing water back to his place in the back of his truck to fight the spot fires. That's the big problem right now. There are thousands of spot fires. In fact, I was back the following day. We managed to get through the blockade, and we worked on the spot fire near our home that was threatening our pump house for hours and hours, and it kept popping up days after that. But this fellow was headed to his house in a truck with the water, and he got the police chased him. They stopped him, pulled him out of the truck, made him empty the water out of his truck, grabbed his cell phone because he was filming him.
I cannot believe CBC is even sharing this because normally they censor everything.
And
this is amazing.
Impounded his truck, leaving him to walk home. That is how the Canadian government, the BC government, and our regional district is treating the heroes in our community.
Jim, appreciate you taking the time to give us your perspective on all of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Jim Cooperman is a longtime resident of North Shuswap. We reached him in Kamloops, BC.
Wow. So, I mean, that situation has kind of died down. Love and prayers to everyone affected by wildfires this year, and a lot of them were arson. They were human cause. There is a very small percentage that were lightning, and it's not climate change when you have it on this scale. Wow, I'm almost in shock. No, I'm actually almost in shock because CBC did something that wasn't pro-Trudeau or insane weather issues. I don't want to say the word. It's not going to strike. I always seem to when I bring up the weather. The CC. Yeah. Wow, I do have some, that one, like this one turned out neat. Oh, this is hilarious. Oh God, I love this one. This one is so bad, but it's so funny. I'm gonna pull it up again just because it goes so fast. It's a problem with shorts.
Hi, baby. Hi, puppy. I love you. You scared the bejesus out of me. He won't bite. He won't bite. He just barks. Hey,
We're gonna watch that one again. I'm sorry. How is this not hilarious? Especially the bear. And no, my cat would do that. She literally would do that. It was like embarrassing to a point. Like, it was like, hey, do you want to come by? Sure. Yeah. Oh no, it's okay. I just gotta warn you about something. Okay. Yeah, my cat's a little crazy. Oh, that's okay. How old is it? Like 6 months. It's like 2 pounds. Oh, that's okay. I'm like, oh no, you do not know the demon spawn that I have. Please keep all your valuables up high, and maybe I'll lock them away in a closet. Or put them in a cupboard. Hopefully she won't get into the cupboard and destroy them, because she just seemed to love destroying anything people brought over. So I had to actually warn people, okay, yeah, your backpack, your purse, your shoes, your jacket, your hat, anything you love, pretty much just we'll have to keep it out of sight from her. Sorry. That was fun. And people, as much as I want another pet, after that, part of me is like, okay, do I really want to have everything I love destroyed again? I don't know. I love Frisia. She was a beautiful, beautiful little dragon princess for a demon spawn cat. This one is insane. This one's a little long. There was a few others. Oh, I almost want to pull up this one. Because it really does look like my artwork. Let's see if I can do it. I don't know. I actually want to play it. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna get a strike. Bring on the strike.
Nigga, eat this ass like a plum. This pussy tight like a nun. Better chew it up like it's dumb. Then wipe your mouth when you done. I'm high like Nevada. Pussy get pop pinata. Bitch, I look like money. You can print my face on a dollar.
That booty. Shake that booty. Okay, I better. Like, that looks like my artwork. It's so damn cool. Like, damn woman. Okay, that's all I'm going to play of that one. You can check out the link. I'm sure everyone has seen it by now. It is, say what you will about her, but I love that video. And that was my intro video. I'm quite proud of. Oh, this one was good. I liked her.
So from a very young age, I was taught that women should not have upper body strength. No muscles, you'll be bulky, you'll be gross, no one wants that, that's not feminine. And as a 32-year-old, earlier this year, I took up weightlifting, which is so good for my brain. It makes the darkness a little quieter. We love that. And I've gained a good deal of upper body strength compared to where I was before. We got little baby muscles going on, I like it. But the other day, I finished a workout and I saw myself in the mirror and my arms were like all pumped, so they looked vascular. And my first thought was, cool, that's progress, I like seeing that. Second very loud thought was, you must quit this immediately because this is not what women should look like. Like, gross, ew. I wanted to listen to that for a second. I was like, yeah, I probably should
we
need
to silence that
mental health because of some weird arbitrary standard that was set by I don't know who, and it's my body. It's so weird how loud those voices
and she looks gorgeous
programming could be. Long
What's
story
wrong
short,
with her?
I told it, thanks, I heard your opinion, but I'm gonna keep training because I really enjoy it and it's good for my brain.
It is. Working out is so good for you. It helps your everything. Obviously, I need to do more if I can use my big girl words. But I feel like when I come across videos like that, I feel bad for people who do not embrace that. Like, she's like, yeah, I got big arms, but I've been working hard for them, and I think it's beautiful. I think it would be great if more people embrace that. I have no idea what's possessed with my phone, but we're just going to ignore that. Yeah, see, that one I played earlier. Yeah, copyright strike, all those fees. This was good. I might pull this one up again, preserve tomatoes, but also how to preserve other things. And definitely like this, he does it so well. Like, canning always seems very intimidating, like it or out of your reach. Meanwhile, it's probably like a $50 investment and you're saving so much on groceries. That's why we did it. And the jars are, you can reuse the jars, but you kind of need new lids every year. It is the key to canning. And he does get into why that's important when you're canning things. It is fall, harvest time. This is a good video if you're not familiar with how to can things, because it is a process. This is like not an easy thing, and you got to have everything really clean, and you got to be like committed to at least like a full day's. It's a good project to do with the kids on a Saturday. Put on some like, Christmassy, Thanksgiving movies or whatever, Let them all pick one and then you put them on. And then it's like a family event when you're canning. So it's not as, this is like, what are we doing, Mom? This is so dumb. Like we're not Hutterites. Bad jokes. I like how that one turned out. Like because I didn't program any sort of the extra detail. This one was a cool one. I'm going to come up.
It's been a summer of destructive wildfires here in BC and around the globe, increasing the demand for better technology to fight fires.
As CTV's Abigail Turner reports, Vancouver Island will be home to manufacturing
Woohoo!
new water bombing planes to fly
Yay!
across the world.
It's a sign
Let's
firefighters
probably
are
to all
hard
the
at work,
workers who are
attempting to
building these
extinguish
beautiful
wildfires in the
planes.
air by operating water bombers, used extensively this summer as countries around the world faced devastating wildfires.
There's certainly a growing demand for water bombers in places that haven't traditionally had them. And then for places that have had water bombers in the past and are water bombers, the summers are longer, they're hotter, the fires are more intense. So they're looking at that increase in the number of water bombers that they use in their fleets.
Canadian manufacturer de Havilland says the demand for new technology has increased, and the company will be building new water bombers known as DHC-515 firefighting planes, partly on Vancouver Island. The new planes can scoop up about 6,000 liters of water in 12 seconds.
They can get down onto the water body and then get back up and attack the fire really quickly. So they're very versatile, very rugged, and very dependable aircraft.
The European Union has requested 22 of the new aircrafts, while Alberta and Manitoba have shown interest in acquiring them. Canada currently has 57 of the older models.
They're really important in what's called initial attack, which is getting to the fire quickly while it's small.
According to one researcher, water bombing accounts for roughly 20% of Canada's wildfire fighting budget.
There may be some role for remotely operated water bombers in the future.
Manufacturing the new planes on Vancouver Island will create upwards of 300 jobs in North Saanich. The company believes more than 200 new aircrafts could be built in the next 15 years to keep up
Oh my
with
goodness,
worldwide
this
demand.
is like,
Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
that is actually really cool news because North Saanich needs, like, it's starting to become an industrial hub, and it's exciting to see. We need this kind of infrastructure on the island. I'm excited about projects like this. So you might find it boring, but whatever. It's my blog. Yeah. Oh, this one's crazy. This guy, I'm going to come back to him. I'm just not sure what I want to pull up next. Yeah, this one is, it kind of ties into the last blog. Ooh, I almost want to pull up that one next, just to stir the pot. But let's pull up this one, because she is one of
What
our...
does political power look like?
Think about it.
She is
There's
probably the
enormous
best
opportunity
Canadian
and
senator.
enormous potential in that realization.
If you could see political
She
power,
is
it would be this brown,
amazing.
unassuming building on a
And I
downtown
almost think
street
we might be
in Ottawa.
cousins. I don't know.
Behind
She
these
looks
doors,
so much like my
decisions
sister.
worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and decisions that impact the lives of millions of people. And Canada's relations with foreign powers are made every day. When they say the halls of power, these are the halls. For some elites and special interests, getting through these doors and getting that money and influence is the only thing that matters. What's good for the country, what's good for Canadians, those considerations are second and a distant third. Power, money, and influence is the name of the game for them. There's a saying, who do you know in the PMO? Under the Trudeau government, the concentration of power and influence has evolved. It's more complicated. The PMO uses outside organizations and a series of appointments to prominent positions to help keep Trudeau and his Liberal government in office. This is a story about an organization that shares the same name as the Prime Minister. This is a story about how it began getting a lot of cash from foreign donors. At the same time, a seeming straight line of appointments and political influence appeared between the Trudeau Foundation and the Trudeau government. The implications of this are extraordinary. This is a story about the Trudeau Foundation. As I thought about this, I began to realize the way that this is organized. Influence, political cover, money, and positions. You have Prime Minister Trudeau at the top. Then there are all those he and his government have appointed to prominent positions and special roles. Of course, Justin Trudeau often turns to these reliable allies when he finds himself in hot water. So let's call this what it is. The Trudeau Family Foundation was started by the Chrétien Liberal government with $125 million of Canadian taxpayers' money. Let's meet some notable Trudeau Foundation alumni. Senator Peter Harder, former Trudeau Foundation mentor, former head of the Canada-China Business Council. He was Trudeau's transition team head when the Liberals took power in 2015. Then Trudeau made him his first Senate government leader.
She is a Canadian senator and one of the best ones we have.
Chair of the advisory board for Senate appointments. Anne McClellan. Trudeau appointed her to report on the SNC Lavalin scandal. Trudeau Foundation mentor. David Johnston. Trudeau named him Special Rapporteur on foreign election interference.
But there should not and need not be a separate formal public inquiry.
Senators Francis Lincoln, Rene Dupuis, Patricia Bovey, Michelle Audette, and Senator Patty Level-King-Benson, the new Senate government deputy leader, all Trudeau Foundation alumni. The list goes on and on. The Liberals have former Trudeau Foundation alumni appointed to positions throughout the federal government. And a pattern emerges here. Frequently, when Justin Trudeau gets caught in a scandal, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there have been a few, he just flips open his little book of Trudeau Foundation contacts and calls on one of them to give him some political cover. We saw this with SNC Lavalin. We saw this with sexual misconduct in Canada's military. And we're seeing it again now with the Beijing election interference scandal. But hold on, governments appoint people all the time. What's the big issue here? It comes back to influence, especially with what we've learned recently about Beijing's attempts to interfere in Canadian democracy. Foreign powers have quickly discovered that it's easier to fly under the radar than it is to slip through those big metal doors at the Prime Minister's office. If you just approach organizations like the Trudeau Foundation and shower them with money, you can still get power and influence. And sure enough, at the same time Trudeau was elected Liberal leader, we see huge amounts of cash flowing from foreign donors, some even from the hostile Beijing regime, to the Trudeau Foundation. And this has continued. We've seen a stunning amount of waffling and inaction by the Trudeau government on many issues concerning the communist Chinese regime's relations with Canada. Police stations operated by the Beijing dictatorship on Canadian soil. The Trudeau government refused to ban Huawei for years. Only after our closest allies applied extraordinary pressure did they reverse that decision. Trudeau and his Liberal cabinet refused to stand up in the House of Commons and vote for the motion condemning Beijing's genocide of its Uyghur people.
Well, the House of Commons voted overwhelmingly 266-0 to call China's treatment of the Uyghur population, the Muslim minority in Western China, a genocide. But the Liberal cabinet, including the Prime Minister, they didn't just abstain, they didn't even show up for the vote.
We even know that a Canadian member of Parliament's family faced threats from the communist regime for him proposing the Uyghur genocide motion. It is clearer every day that the Beijing regime actively influenced the last two Canadian elections. Trudeau was advised about it and did nothing. Justin Trudeau once again turned to his Trudeau Foundation contacts to help manage his way out of this mess. He tapped former Trudeau Foundation CEO Morris Rosenberg to report on foreign interference in the 2019 and 2021 elections. He concluded, nothing to see here. Both national security committees, NSICOP and NSIRA, tasked by Trudeau to study foreign election interference, contain Trudeau Foundation alumni. And remember David Johnston? Justin Trudeau appointed him to decide if there should be a public inquiry into Beijing election interference. And he decided that we won't have a public inquiry dealing with Beijing election interference. Shocker.
but there should not and need not be a separate formal public inquiry.
We have to stop and take stock of this. How did this happen? How much does Trudeau interact with the Trudeau Foundation? He's claimed zero. The Prime Minister says there are no links between him and the Trudeau Foundation, completely separate. And any money coming from the communist regime in Beijing, he has no idea what anyone's talking about. The actual facts contradict these claims. Trudeau has deep connections with the Trudeau Foundation organization. It boasts his last name. His brother, Alexandre Trudeau, received the notorious Beijing donation and remains a Trudeau Foundation member. Justin Trudeau's government can appoint 6 Trudeau Foundation members and 2 directors to its board. The Trudeau Foundation even met with several Trudeau government deputy ministers within the PM's very office building. They got in the doors. And Justin Trudeau has appointed many Trudeau Foundation alumni to plum positions in his government. At the start of this video, I asked what political power looked like. I said probably the best example is the Prime Minister's office building in Ottawa. But I was wrong. Under Trudeau, political power isn't held within the halls of government or even in Ottawa. The path to power leads from Justin Trudeau's doorstep to an office in Montreal. So it turns out that old saying needs updating. Who do you know in the Trudeau Foundation?
She is one of the best Canadian senators we have in Canada. And I'm going to pull up the next one. That one's kind of crazy. I might pull that one up at the end. Oh, we all missed Jerry. And just to pull up a little data about Diana. Yeah, some of the programs I'm not happy with. Let's just pull up Russell Blatt.
Protect your future in this
We're
crazy,
going to rewind
crazy...
this.
We beat Big Pharma this year. Did Joe Biden and Kamala Harris beat Big Pharma, or did they kowtow to Big Pharma with a mealy-mouthed bill that benefits no one? Hello there, you 6.5 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining us on this voyage to truth and freedom that we will undertake together. We will hold them accountable. We will demand transparency. We will remain in the conversation. Thank you for being a part of this movement. To commit even further, press the notification bell so you know when these videos drop, as they say, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us when you do that. And remember, I'm doing 5 little shows across the UK. There's a link in the description for the month of September. Come along. Come see me. Come see me. You'll love it. We talk about democracy, power, all that stuff. It's fantastic. Now, do you remember when Joe Biden was campaigning? And in fact, even in administration, we beat Big Pharma this year. Remember this?
We beat Pharma this year! We beat Pharma this year, and it mattered.
Well, guess what that amounts to? It isn't a victory over Big Pharma. The bill has been watered down, mitigated, almost as if somehow Pharma supports and funds the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party are unable to successfully legislate on behalf of the electorate that they were voted in to serve, whose taxes they require, and whose problems they ignore. Except for, of course, saying stuff. I mean, we can all say stuff, baby. Let's have a look at how the mainstream media are presenting this latest catastrophe.
We're going to go to the White House now. The president talking about the drug price adjustments.
This is so important now. So up its own bum, isn't it? The news with its graphs. We're going over live. I've grown my forehead a bit bigger, especially for this piece of news where some bullshit's about to be conveyed to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Please have a seat. Good afternoon. It's a room full of leaders.
I'm looking at 3 people on the stage, and none of them are leaders.
Well, thank you, everyone, for being here and for all the work that you have done leading up to today.
I've said leading too many times already.
I want to thank, of course, our nation's champion, President Biden.
Hyperbole, nonsense, bullshit instead of actual substance. Now pay attention to the hyperbole being conveyed, because what's about to be expressed is the bill that began as we are going to meaningfully control Big Pharma, particularly after the Purdue crisis, the fentanyl epidemic, the exploitation of the pandemic that you funded. We're going to rein Big Pharma in. 86% of Americans or thereabouts want to see caps on drug prices. We said we're going to deliver. Look at what actually gets delivered. Only the mainstream media would tell you that this is anything like a success. Only the mainstream media would tell you that this is anything like what you voted for, because this is as watered down and diluted and as ineffective as some of the that we've been offered in recent years.
For your leadership and commitment to lowering costs for working families in every way.
Lower costs
You know, it
to
used
working
to be
families
Canadians
in
who
every
would
way.
make fun
Quite
of
a claim.
Americans
Let's
for
see
their
what gets
health care.
delivered.
So we are here
But
today
in BC,
with
we
the
don't
firm
even have
belief
doctors. So
that in the United
this
States
isn't-
of America,
it's like
no
at least we have
senior
doctors.
should ever have to choose between whether they are able to fill a prescription or fill their refrigerator with food.
That's what it's come down to. This is a great new policy. What it is, if you're senior, that's very old, not you, you're great, you're a champion, carry on. If you're another old person, not Mitch McConnell,
Yeah, I can be that.
or that
Yeah.
lady that had to be nudged into voting yes.
Just say aye. Okay.
Aye. An old person that's not running the country. And if you are old and you'd like to run the country, come on in. You can't be too old. We've proved that. If you're an old person, you don't have to choose between expending
too
your
old.
remaining resources with Big Pharma or putting a couple of groceries in your fridge that you can't afford to keep chilled because your energy bills are so high. Democracy! We beat Big Pharma this year. That's it. That's the offering. That's the offering. That's what we're all getting so excited about. This is what all the vilification of Trump's about. This is what we don't need to consider Robert F. Kennedy or Marianne Williamson or Cornel West or people that at least seem to understand humanity from a better perspective. A very, very old person, if they're not too busy running the country, will be able to both get a couple of apples and continue to funnel their remaining dollars into the hands of Big Pharma. Thanks for the democracy. How's the war going? Do you need any more money for that?
But for you, yes.
Yeah, no, it is, and we do clap that because I
Well
clap when I
said.
can afford
Well
both
said.
drugs
You
and
can't
food.
argue with
Yibbity-doo-dah.
this. God.
Yeah, no, actually, because this is real democracy. Democrats may tout this as a victory against Big Pharma. Oh, they are. I mean, they're applauding, they're pleased as punch. That fridge that they're talking about is full of their farts. Here, have some more farts. Oh, it's going so well. The smell of democracy that's come out of my ass. But all 10 of the drugs up for negotiation are already being sold in other countries at fractions of what pharmaceutical companies are charging for them in the United States. The victory is you will pay much more money than other countries. Yeah, thanks. I know. It's great. We beat Big Pharma this year. Not compared to Algeria or Sweden or Iceland or Somalia, but we're just America, right? And drug makers are reporting huge revenues from those foreign sales, so they're able to spread the costs internationally because they're globalists, like your government. In some cases, Americans whose tax money subsidizes the development of virtually all medicines approved for sale in the United States. Sorry, did I not mention it? You've already paid for the drug once, and you're going to pay for it again, much more than other countries. But are you not going to applaud? Why are you not applauding? Because this is progress, remember? What about the champion? Don't you think they deserve a little round of applause? Are being charged 1,000% more than foreign patients for the same drugs. You're 1,000% worse than foreign people. Don't go building that wall. You're going to need those guys. The cash haul disclosed in drug makers' earnings reports suggests that pharmaceutical companies will still be able to reap enormous windfalls, even if Americans can finally access prices closer to those charged on the global market for some drugs. So what's been negotiated is a deal with their donors in Big Pharma to adjust the administration so that across a quarter or a year, their profits remain unaffected. You think that Albert Bourla, Moderna, Pfizer, all those guys, the FDA, don't have tight relationships with the government? What power do you think This government, look at them. What power do you think they have to protect you? Let me know in the comments. Americans pay the highest prices per capita among residents of wealthy countries for prescription drugs, even though the American public subsidizes research and development, R&D costs, on essentially every drug approved for sale in the United States. Hello there, we're going to introduce some new drugs. Going to need your money, Oh, actually,
Wow.
I don't feel too well. I'm going to need some of those drugs. Going to need some more money. Oh, so what does it cost over there in Tangiers or Wales or Scotland? Oh, just 1,000% less, but you're Americans, so we're going to need a little bit more from you. We beat Big Pharma this year. President Joe Biden pledged during his 2020 campaign to repeal the existing law explicitly barring Medicare from negotiating lower prices with drug corporations.
Oh, thank God it paused.
Last year, Democrats finally passed the drug
Sometimes
price
it
negotiation
doesn't
provision,
pause.
but the measure
No,
was
it's
much more
not
limited than
pausing.
lawmakers
No,
originally
it's
proposed. I wonder what happened
paused.
to
We
those
just
conversations.
received a
Let me know in the comments if you think maybe Big Pharma was somehow, I can't imagine how they're able to assert control and influence. I mean, God, is there any record of Joe Biden just before his election in 2020 telling a room full of donors in New York nothing will essentially change? There is. That did happen. And that is what's happening now, as you can see, as you can experience. Who are you going to believe, Kamala Harris or your own lying eyes? The new law will allow Medicare to begin negotiating prices effective starting in 2026. Come on, most of those seniors will be dead by then. Is it from or with old age? Nah, don't matter, they're dead anyway. On a select handful of expensive drugs that have no generic competition and have been on the market for at least 9 years. That's how your country works. And I say this as a person that loves your country, that's lived in your country, that cares about America. That's what's negotiated. Well, could we only do it with drugs that have no generic competition? Okay. And have been on the market for at least 9 years? Sure. That's the conditions. That's who they work for. You pay, they profit. But 4 of the 10 drugs on the Biden administration's target list may not even have their prices negotiated in the end, thanks to incoming generic or biosimilar competition. So what they've done is, like lawyers, they've tied it up and sewn it up in every conceivable way so they cannot lose. That's what it means, corporatist democracy such as the ones that we have. We have a similar thing in our country as well. It means they cannot lose, no matter who you vote for. You think that, right, what I'm going to do is vote for them. Yeah,
I'm trying to see if I can find
so we form comparable relationships with those guys.
For the
it's not going to be, damn, look, they voted for the other one. No, we only funded this one. They fund both. The companies making the 10 drugs on the Biden administration's target list have been selling the products for far less elsewhere. See the injury? Here's an insult. In 2021, a government analysis found the pharma industry should emerge mostly unscathed from the Build Back Better bill. The cost to the industry and its pace of innovation would be minimal, the analysis found. That's the deal that's been done. In all, the Build Back Better drug pricing framework is not a bad outcome for the industry. Investment company Evercore ISI analysts wrote in a note to clients. Most drugs wouldn't be affected by negotiations, the analysts said, and the caps could ultimately entice drug makers to boost their products' launch prices.
Able to get into the next round.
Pharmaceutical companies in the US raised drug prices 1,186 times in 2022. This is very curious because essentially it shows you how the system functions. There's a little bit of fanfare and some celebratory rhetoric, some nauseating hyperbole, but actually backstage where the real governing happens.
And they also have
to ensure that the government is able to fulfill its promises to say some words in public without ever impacting the pharmaceutical companies. Is it me, or does the future feel more insecure and uncertain? Wars, pandemics, lies, trickery. My cats keep having kittens. The last one personal. For those who are in the United States, there is a way to secure your hard-earned nest egg. American Hartford Gold make it easy to protect your savings and retirement accounts with physical gold and silver. With one phone call, they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door, or inside a qualifying retirement account like your IRA or 401k. American Hartford Gold is the highest rated firm in the US with an A+ rating from the BBB and thousands of satisfied clients. Right now, they will give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first qualifying order.
I wish
this
I could
offer
do
is
this.
only for US customers. Call 866-505-8315. That's 866-505-8315, or simply text BRAND to 998899. Get up to $5,000 of silver and protect your future in this crazy, crazy world with some solid precious metals literally made in stars. The pharmaceutical and health products industry spent $263 million on lobbying in Washington in 2021, but I doubt that has any impact on these kind of decisions, do you? In 2021, Democrats accounted for roughly 60% of the $177 million in pharmaceutical industry lobbying and campaign donations. So that would make an impact, I suppose, in the way they regulate and legislate. That's how we go from rhetoric around we beat Big Pharma and we're going to cap drug prices to we're going to cap drug prices in a way that doesn't impact the profits of drug companies and therefore cannot meaningfully improve your life. According to Open Secrets in 2020, the biggest recipient of donations from the pharmaceutical industry was, drumroll please, is America's champion, Joe Biden, who received $8.6 million. A growing number of Americans are delaying important medical care because of the high cost of treatment, a recent survey shows. We beat Big Pharma this year?
We beat Pharma this year!
It's extraordinary, really, isn't it? That's the real impact, even in my own anger and outrage. Forget that what we're talking about is the real life of real Americans. Why don't you let me know in the comments who you know who is impacted by the soaring cost of drugs? Let me know if you know someone who is affected or even died as a result of the fentanyl crisis. Let me know how you think pharmaceutical companies were able to assert influence over the last couple of years. Let me know if you're impressed with this bill or not. In 2022, 38% of Americans said they or a family member skipped or delayed medical care, according to an annual health care poll from Gallup. The jump reflects an increase of 12 percentage points compared to 2021 and marks the highest year-to-year increase in Americans delaying health care. So things are bad and they're getting worse. That's what should have happened up there. This is an alternative to what we just saw Kamala Harris do. Listen, you know we promised you that we were going to cap drug prices. We sort of are a bit, but only in a handful of drugs under these specific conditions, that there's no generic competition and that the drugs have been on the market for at least 9 years. You're still going to be paying 1,000% more than other foreign countries, and things are getting a lot worse for Americans. This is from David Sirota from The Lever, a left-wing publication. Let's remember, pharmaceutical companies aren't altruistic charities that offer their products abroad at a loss. On the contrary, they are still making healthy profits at lower world market prices. So if you have a feeling that you're being ripped off, you're right, you are. For all the pharmaceutical industry's self-congratulatory rhetoric about its own innovations, the federal government uses your tax dollars to fund a lot of that innovation, research and development. A study from the National Academy of Sciences tells that story. The federal government spent $100 billion to subsidize the research on every single one of the 200 plus drugs approved for sale in the United States between 2010 and 2016. $100 billion in subsidies. Obviously, though, that wasn't your money, because America has this taco stand on the border and they sell tacos there, and they must have got that 100. Hold on a minute, they don't have a taco stand on the board. It must be your money. Because we, the public, invested early in these medicines, we reduced the R&D costs for pharmaceutical companies. Therefore, on the back end, the public should have received some sort of return in the form of affordable prices. Good point. After all, we took the initial risk. Yeah, capitalism. You take the risk, you get the benefits. No, you hear that all the time. That's how capitalism works. It's the only game in town. It's the worst of all, except for all the other everything. You know, you've heard this stuff. This isn't capitalism. This is corruption. This is corporate statist corruption, where you've got no options, where they come out and celebrate with a pack of lies. Meanwhile, your senior citizen family members or loved ones are not going to meaningfully have their lives improved. After all, we took the initial risk and we lowered the overhead costs that the drug companies might need to recoup through higher prices. In business terms, the public is the early venture investor in these products, and we deserve a share of the returns when the product proves valuable. But I reject even that model. Health should not be for profit. But how else are you going to incentivize people? How about humanity? How about we're here together and we're going to die together? How about some values? How about some meaning? How about some principles? How about we use academia and expertise to fund it by the state and have it owned by the state? Or even if you outsource it to Big Pharma, outsource it with strict, stringent legal conditions. Oh, that's impossible. It would never work. Why not? However, in the mid-1990s, drug lobbyists persuaded the Clinton administration to repeal rules that allowed federal officials to require government-subsidized drugs to be offered to Americans at a reasonable price. A few years later, Congress, with then Senator Joe Biden's help, voted down legislation to reinstate these rules, and later the Obama administration rejected House Democrats' request that federal officials at least provide guidelines to government agencies about how they can exercise their remaining powers to combat drug price gouging. Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, Barack Obama. Triumvirate of heroes. We're the Three Musketeers. We take the risk of investing early in the product, but instead of that investment reaping us something valuable like affordable prices, we are rewarded with price gouging by the drug makers that bankroll the lawmakers who've rigged the rules and aim to keep them rigged. That's not free market. It's a top-down command economy perfectly calibrated for price gouging, and the pharmaceutical industry and its puppet politicians want to keep it that way. Seems like a pretty accurate appraisal. Kamala Harris is literally almost crying about a piece of legislation that is wretched and basically worthless.
Because we know for years, far too many of our seniors, millions of our seniors across the country, have struggled to afford their prescriptions. And too many of our seniors risked their health as they may have delayed to refill their prescription, or they cut their pills in half to try and stretch out the length of time.
Cut it in half to stretch out. What's happened to America? What's happened to this magnificent country filled with brilliant men and women, full of genius and innovation everywhere you looked, in music, in the arts, in culture? A country where people came together to build the greatest nation in earth, reduced to this spectacle.
So since we took office, President Biden and I and our administration has taken historic action to cut the cost of prescription medication for our seniors.
That's the news that comes up. No senior should ever have to choose between medicine and food. What's the news today, honey? No senior should have to choose between medicine and food. Oh, will they have to? Yes.
We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month.
What are you so pleased about? Listen to the actual facts. It's not meant to be a performance. How dare you complain that a charismatic performer of a president like Donald Trump has garnered the attention and affections of many Americans when they're doing the same thing, but less well.
We will cap the total cost of prescription drugs at $2,000 a year.
Wow, you're so generous.
And
What a
we have made
cunt.
vaccines free of charge.
When I say free of charge,
Oh my God, that was, wow.
You're paying for
Wow,
those
she
vaccines.
said the
And
inside
we finally
part
allowed
out loud.
Medicare to negotiate the price of medications with big pharma companies.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
you
so
can
damn
negotiate.
creepy.
Negotiate.
And as many of you know, we've worked together over the course of my career. I've seen
So
the stakes
creepy.
of this fight
Holy fuck,
firsthand when I was Attorney General of California.
And now,
No,
after that
sorry,
ridiculous cyborg-like address,
I'm gonna shut this off. I'm gonna go to trivia with look up Vic BC Live. Great channel. Sorry, I'm having a cord malfunction, so I gotta like plug something in and something else out. And thank you for joining me. This was a short stream. I might do an after stream with the panel. I can have apparently 15 people on. I don't know if I want 15 people on, but we'll see. Have a good night. Thank you for joining me, Blue. Oh, God. I totally failed that question. Yeah. Oh, God. I'm failing this, like, I don't even know. I'm just pressing buttons. Love you all. Merci beaucoup. Yes, end.